All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our little interview here. We're talking with DC Chase and his new book, The Trouble with Evan, which is book 4 in his Hot to Trot series. And with us also is Brianna Toth. She did all the editing for the book. And we've got Ross Blilie here. He's the narrator for the audiobook version of it. Trouble with Evan has just come out. Audiobook should be coming out any day now. So we're going to talk a little bit about this and DC Chase, the man, the author. So why don't you tell us a little bit? How did this book come about? Where did you come up with the idea for The Trouble with Evan?
It's weird. I started writing the book in 2011. I thought it was going to be like a romantic comedy. It's why it sort of starts off with this like very light feeling or feel to it. At the time, I was actually doing online dating, so I was like, boy, that could be great experience and great. Put that right into the book is it'll sound authentic. And that didn't really go very well for me, so I wasn't really sure what to do with it. And I realized that I wanted Evan's dad to be like this, overpowering politician sort of guy who was, and what's funny was I don't even know if House of Cards was a show in 2011, but the idea to make like this Kevin Spacey character who was just, ruthless and was willing to, claw and scratch over everybody to get what he wanted was definitely on my mind. But I didn't know how that was gonna, how do you make a book funny and then not so funny? And, I wasn't sure really how that would work. So I sat on it for 9 years until COVID. And like most people who didn't have anything to do at that time, I picked it up. And that's where this whole DC chase, even though this is the fourth book, was really the first one. It was written like that, where it just had all these bits and different elements to it that would have, short chapters, twists, some comedy, some humor, some, a little bit of sexual content, and obviously a lot of suspense. And by hook or by crook, we got it to the end.
Well, that brings up a really good thing because I really like the way your book was described to me at first. Sex spence. You got the sexy action, you got the suspense, you've got sex spence. What a great idea.
Yeah, what a concept, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where you're just mixing stuff together and you see, literally, well, I shouldn't say literally, but in a way you're throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what'll stick.
Okay. Well, that brings me into the next question. What is your process for writing? How do you go about? Do you plan it out? Do you have it all mapped out, or do you just let it go where it takes you?
Mostly it's like a wave, it sort of goes where it wants to go. I sort of have an idea of how I want it to go. And if you're familiar with my books, or at least I should say how I want it to end, the chapters are so fast and so quick. And when I tell people, oh, it's 100 chapters, it's like, oh my God, you're going to be there for, a year reading it. But then when you realize the chapters are like a page or 2 pages long, you start to get the idea that it's so fast and you're just trying to get those chapters in. And to be honest with you, I have no idea how it's really going to read until I get to the end of it, see how well it flows. So I would say, man, I'm just winging it, flying by the seat of my pants.
Okay. Well, then that's going to be a great way to move into the editing with Brianna. So, Brianna, what do you do? How do you go through the book? And as an editor, what are you looking for your first go round? Are you looking for plot holes, or are you just looking at copy editing? How do you start with the book?
Well, it really depends on the editing package that the client wants. So sometimes they approach me, they want a developmental edit. So that's like more thorough, like you were talking about plot holes, look for continuity errors, as well as grammar and punctuation. Or there's just simple line editing, like grammar, punctuation, going line by line, making sure everything is polished. Or there's also proofreading, which is the final like run through before publication. So it depends on what the client wants, but a lot of the times it's me going through line by line, suggesting things. Even if they get like a simple package, I would just go and suggest a scene if I see something that they can add, something they can expand upon. And I usually go through either whatever the client prefers, software wise. So maybe Google Docs or Microsoft Word, and I use the suggestions or track changes. But it's up to the client. I really allow them to direct me.
Okay. Now, how many times, if say if you're doing, the full gamut, developmental and copy editing, light editing, how many times would you go through the book from start to finish?
For a thorough edit, I'd probably go through at least twice. Sometimes it's more like three to four. I'd say with four being kind of like the usual. Um, that's where I usually end up for read throughs. Make sure everything's polished.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So I know we're doing these books with DC, the suspense and all these other things. What other genres do you enjoy working with?
Really any genres. I like contemporary romance, young adult, new adult, fantasy, horror. Really the only genres that I don't feel comfortable editing is like erotica, like the heavy erotica or like religious things, because I don't feel like I'm the best editor for that. Um, as well as like animal cruelty or like any discriminatory manuscripts. I don't think I'm the best editor for that.
Okay. Yeah, you got to have your own personal limits and stick to them.
Right.
One more question for you.
Sure.
Editing is usually a pretty, lonely job. You're there with the computer and the manuscript there. So, is there anything you'd like people to know what editors do or what, something they might not know that you do that's essential to the book?
Yeah, sure. I think I would like a lot of people to know that the time it takes, like for editors, and really what they're worth, because a lot of indie authors will say, "I don't need an editor. I look through it." But really having a second pair of eyes is definitely worth it because I know myself, being a writer in like my spare time, I always have an editor look at it, no matter what. I think that's a very valuable uh, piece of resource.
Yeah, I know as a narrator, you can't really proof your own work because your brain knows what you meant to say. So as you're
Right.
going through it, your brain is saying, "Well, this is what we meant to say," and you don't really listen, or in your case, write. Catch
Yeah.
what you think you actually wrote when you might have written something else. So, yeah, totally get that. Totally get that.
Mhm.
Okay, now speaking of narrating and things, let's go over to Mr. Ross Blilie, the narrator of the Hot to Trot series. Ross, sir,
Hey, how you doing?
doing good, sir. For the trouble with Evan here, who is your favorite character in this book to voice? I know because when I'm doing my books, usually there's one or two characters that'll really stand out, and they're really a lot of fun to voice.
So, one of the characters that I was thinking about, and I'll be honest, I've already forgotten his name, but I know he's Evan's landlord, because I made him a lot like. Now I've already forgot the character, the guy's name too. He has a southern accent, um, and he speaks a little bit effeminately, but you know that he's a male. He just passed away not that long ago. I'm not sure if you remember him. Leslie Jordan.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So he was the favorite one that I picked out in this particular story, just because I don't know, that voice seemed to be kind of on the more comedic side than anything.
Now, as you were going through this book, were there any challenges that you come across narrating it or any scenes that were really difficult to get through?
A lot of the challenges for me was just making sure that I was reading not just the sentences, but the paragraphs and then even certain words too. They're not big words or anything like that. It's just trying to enunciate them and making sure that they're coming out the right way and in the right tone. So that's the only challenge, just as an audiobook narrator in general. So there are some times that DC had challenged me as far as what he was trying to capture in a certain part of the book, but I was actually able to work through that pretty easily.
Nice. Okay. Now, this is the fourth book in the Hot to Trot series. Are you looking forward to the next one?
Oh my gosh, yes. Just because with this particular book, towards the end, the plot twist that he had, I really had no clue what was going on up until like I don't want to say the very end, but pretty darn close up until the very end. And there were a lot of oh crap moments in this book. So by far, yes, I am looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I tell you, going through all four of these books, I mean, there's twists and turns where you never expected any of them to be. So, uh,
Right. And that's one of the fun things that I like about this narration uh, job because, you know, when you just read a book straight through and you're not thinking about the characters or how they're, you know, whatever getting along or whatever they're doing, and then you see this or you visualize what's happening, you're a lot of times not prepared for it. And that's where it's like, oh crap, what? How did that happen? Where did that come from? So that's kind of the whole surprise about it for me and why I'm looking forward to going on to the next one.
awesome. Yeah. Now, what other genres do you enjoy narrating? Do you have anything that you specific like, or you just generally anything?
At this point in my career, just anything, but I have actually produced 10, or I'm sorry, 6 other audiobooks other than the Hot to Trot series. I have done a couple of religious or spiritual books. I've done one sci-fi or space opera book. I've done a biography slash memoir book. Um, and actually, I think that's it.
Well, I think that's going to be it. I think we covered a pretty good round here for talking about DC Chase's new book coming out, The Trouble with Evan. Ebook and print books are out now. And again, the audiobook, narrated by Ross Blilie, that should be coming out any day now. So keep an eye out on Audible and iTunes for that. And we hope you all enjoy it. Thank you much.